2, 1, and we will be going live now. And we are here with Dominick Wallace. How are you, my brother?
Hey, man, I'm great. Appreciate it,
Awesome.
Andres, for having me, man.
Oh, it's great to have you, man. Always great talking to you. And if you want to start telling us a little bit about your background, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, cool. So, man, I've been an entrepreneur as long as I can remember. I remember first, as a kid, cutting lawns to washing cars to, I think I got my entrepreneur speak from my grandparents. They owned a diner at one time. Um, but, uh, but I remember, uh, even in college, a good friend of mine. This was when Amazon was just getting started back in the early '90s. I remember I can show you here the
Wow.
one of these books I'm reading here. On the back of the book they have these ISBN numbers,
Right.
and so he was showing me where you can put that information in Amazon, and then it will show you how the popularity of that book. And
Right.
what you can do is then you can list that book, and then you can sell it. So like what I thought of was I would go to these libraries. If you go to a library, a lot of times they'll have books, extra books, or people that donate books, and you can buy them. And you buy them for like $1, and then you can sell it for like $5, $6, $7, $10, $20. I remember one time I bought a book for like $5, like a nursing book, and I sold it for like $90.
Oh,
So, but I always been doing entrepreneurial stuff. I mean, when I was in college, I started learning how to paint. You're not, not painting for, like painting a face, but like painting houses and that kind of stuff. And then I was approached with an opportunity. It's kind of like a franchise opportunity where you can paint other people's houses, and 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 that was probably my first big entrepreneur, where I had like a group of guys, and we would go paint houses around town, put up signs and all that kind of stuff. And what I was doing was, at one point in time, I was like, I want to take this business to the next level. So at the time, I was like, how do I do that, right? So I was like, well, instead of doing a small house, well, let me do like a big commercial building. And so I did some research trying to figure out, who do I talk to a few people, and then the people on the corporate side, they say, hey, you need to talk to this general contractor. And then I started talking to the general contractor, and I was like, hey man, how do I get paid in all this? And what they told me was that, we'll get paid when we'll pay you when we get paid. And I was just like, well, how long is that going to be? And so you got the owner up here, and then sometimes you got some kind of property manager that will kind of do all the paperwork, and then that person, the property manager, would then give the money to the general contractor, and then as a sub. So you got all these layers of people to get paid. So if you're lucky, you get paid 30 days, 45 days, 60 days later. And I was like, so you guys are crazy. So you're telling me I gotta pay all my guys, I gotta pay all the material, I gotta do all this stuff, and then wait to get paid. And they said, well, that's how the commercial world works. You gotta send the invoice in. And that was new to me. I was like, this is crazy. So you're asking me to finance you. That's what you're telling me. I'm your finance company. And I was like, well, I can't do this. So I was like, I did some research, and I was like, well, how do I do this? How do I get financing for this? And what happened was I started geeking out on finance, and I was like, wow, you know, you can kind of put a deal together with that type of finance. Is called account receivable financing, so where you can, instead of waiting to get paid, you can get an advance on the funds, so that you have cash coming in all the time. because I was a small guy, and, the bank wasn't trying to talk to me at that time. And so, and then when I was looking at the fee structure on this, and I was like, wow, those finance guys make a lot of money. I want to do that. And so at the time, my father, he worked in procurement, which was, where they would hire all the other companies to do business. And I was asking him, do a lot of companies like this have this problem in cash flow and
Hmm.
trying to get access to capital? And he said, yes. So I was like, well, wow, that's a business I want to be in. So I got some training, I took some courses, helped a few people, and here I am about 20 years later, you know, doing this thing. I went from helping a few people to being a finance company and providing the funds. So that's kind of that's where we're at, and it's been a journey there. Now I'm on this journey, like with you, trying to figure out how to market it better.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. That's amazing. And then what was the hardest thing when you said, okay, that's what I want to do? What was the hardest thing what was the first obstacle that knocked you out, or that kind of you said, okay, this is gonna be an obstacle I'm gonna have to overcome?
So, well, obviously when you're getting starting off with somebody, getting people to trust you and know that you can help them and that kind of stuff. So, one of the first thing that I did was I went to and I'm originally from Virginia, and then I moved down to North Carolina, then to Alabama. But when I first moved to Alabama, I went to the local SBA office, Small Business Administration office, and I was asking them, here I am, I'm doing this cool type of financing here. Help me out. Can you make some connections? Can you tell me how do I get involved in the business community? Because I'm new to the business community. How do I get involved? And what they told me was that probably the best place you probably need to network with is the bankers, because the thing that you do is not what they do, and they can refer you the clients that they're unable to help. And I was like, and one way that we can help you do that is if you help us originate these SBA loans. If you help us package these SBA loans, learn this, help us, you get connected to all these bankers. And I was like, well, I mean, I want to meet bankers, but I don't know if I want to learn something else. I mean, I got this over here, and you asked me to learn this. Actually, that was the best mixed blessing, um, because it helped me introduce to a bunch of other bankers, and it helped me understand how finance works from the business loan side. I already was doing the alternative finance side. Now I got the business loan side. So now I know a total perspective of how to help a business owner. And so that really, learning their side, I was able to, get some good inroads with some of the bankers, and they help them refer me business. And
Hmm.
so that was my biggest obstacle, is just kind of getting out there and getting known and getting people to learn me and that kind of stuff. And so that's how I was able to, help uh, overcome that obstacle.
Hmm. That's awesome, man. And how do you start making that transition from the point of you saying, I don't want to, like, wait a minute, that's not what I do. Like, what, like, now you're asking me to learn this new thing. How did you start kind of making this transition in your brain to, like, okay, maybe this is something? How was that?
Well, I mean, because because I was just geeking out on financing in general. I mean, I was just taking it all in. It's like a fresh baby. Learning how to walk. If you see a baby, they're just pulling down everything. They're they're tasting everything. They're, you know, they're doing everything. So that was me. I was just geeking out. I was just trying to learn as much as I can. And, you know, all I cared about was just trying to help, you know, a business owner, you know, whatever, however I could. They need funding, finance, well, however that is. Let me just do that. You know, let's just do that. And what ended up helping me is that, you know, later on when 2008 came around and, you know, the Great Recession came, um, I wasn't stuck in just one lane. You know, I could help people in different ways. So I wasn't stuck on just one type of financing, because, you know, depending on even times of the year or the cycles of the economy, there's certain financing that's better at better times. So I've been able to, it's helped me being able to be flexible. But now I know now I probably know too much. Now I need to focus again. I need to focus again.
God.
Um, yeah, but so now I'm transitioning to the clients. Uh, uh, we build a business credit coaching program. So like on the account receivable factoring side, the way we approve a borrower, a client in order to get financing is based on the credit worthiness of their customer, right? So we're not looking so much on their credit, but who their customers are. So like if you have a big corporation or whatever like that, what we'll do is we'll pull the credits, the credit report of their customer. And if we know that they're a good customer, then we know that they'll pay. They may pay slow, but we'll know they're going to pay. So my epiphany was, well, if if I can show them how to better manage their cash flow by getting other credit accounts. So like, for example, like as I was a painting contractor, if I would try to get a line of credit or a vendor account with the with 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 that supplier, right? So if I can get, instead of having to pay cash, if I get a line of credit, then I could better manage the cash flow. So what I said to the contractors, so the money that we're giving you to finance against your receivables, if we can improve your credit profile where you can get other accounts, you know, if you're you won't have to pay cash, and it reduces the risk on the cash that we're giving you, because you can better manage your cash flow from when you get paid and when you have to pay others. So that was so now I'm focusing on, because that's kind of the business credit piece is the foundation of all finance. So if I can teach companies how to get their company's credit and better manage your cash flow, you know, if they need a business loan or need some equipment or a line of credit or all these other types of financing I've learned since I've been in business, if I can help them there, then that's the one thing that can kind of help them get to where they need to go.
Wow, that's so cool, man. And it's amazing because cash flow is like the blood. You know, it's like the
Well,
essence
man.
of the business. And so it's like if that's low, um,
And you know about blood, man.
yeah, exactly. I do, man. If the blood is low, then
Yeah.
everything dies, man. And
Yeah,
it's amazing because it's like the health. You're uh when you go into businesses, then it doesn't matter that much. I guess let me, for the people who are listening to this right now, like for the credit of the customer. So really, you look at the account receivable. So how much money people owe them, right?
right, right,
And then how credit worthiness are those people that owe them money,
right,
and
right,
then how much they can spread out the expenses they have so that it's not a big chunks taking all their cash flow away.
right. So like on your balance sheet, you know, obviously you have two ways to show the health of your company, right? You got your profit and loss statement, you know, your income and then your expenses, right? And then you also have your balance sheet where all your assets and then all the liabilities, what you owe, what you have, and what you owe. And obviously, you want to have more assets than you want to have liabilities, right?
Right.
And so what I do is show people to kind of manage the difference between how much you how much you have and what you owe, so that you can better manage. Because a lot of my clients, if they can have access to more cash or more blood, if more blood is flowing, more cash is flowing, then they can take advantage of more opportunities, more contracts, and everything. Because if you don't have cash on hand to pay for materials or supplies or even your employees, then you can't go after more business.
Right.
So what I'll do is help them get a line of credit so that they'll have the cash on hand to better take advantage of those opportunities.
That's awesome, man. And it makes me think of like the ideal customer. Like, in a way, if they're dealing with people who have low credit scores, is it part of your coaching to tell them like, hey man, like these people are not the right customers for you? Is that so?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's part of on the finance part of the account receivable finance. Yes, so we'll have people that say, we pulled the credit score of this company and they have a history of not paying. You might not want to get involved with that company. We'll
Gotcha.
tell them, because if we're advanced on that receivable, we want to know that information, and we want them to know that information too, because when we're doing that type of finance, we're partnering with them so that they can scale.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. And then when you started in this, what was one of your biggest breakthroughs? Like when you went to Alabama, I guess, and then you started doing this new thing, and then learning with the bankers and with the small business association. What was one of the first deals, or what was one of the first things that you said, "Wow, like I'm doing this"? You know that this was a breakthrough moment for you, that you realized that you could do this.
So I remember one of the first companies I helped was a flooring contractor. Um, they were doing flooring, and their biggest problem was that they had this contract, but they were on cash basis with a lot of the places where they buy their supplies, and they were like, they needed access to cash to uh get going. You know, there's like, if I know that I have the money on hand to be able to pay my employees and play all my materials, then I can go gangbusters. I can go after more and more deals. And I said, man, you use the analogy blood. I was like being a bloodline for him to take advantage of more opportunities. When I saw that, I'm like, man, this is a game changer. This can really help a lot of people. So
Wow.
yeah, I remember there's another story. I had a guy, um, he was in the IT industry. So what his company does, he was doing some government contracting work, and he was like, it was a similar situation. He was like, Dominic, um, this company says that I can get, or this government agency says that I can get all this business over here. If I, this is like millions and millions of dollars. He said, I can get access to all this business over here if I just had a line of credit. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We know the government's going to pay. They may pay slow, but they're going to pay. You you can hire all these people and start this contract. I'm going to give you a letter. That way, if if you need to show this to your vendors or anybody that you've been approved for this amount of line of credit, you can use that. And because of that, he felt he had the confidence to go after that contract. And this guy now has a multi-million-dollar business now. I mean, he's like, we were working with him for about 2 years, and now got he's got like 5 or 6 Jaguars and all this that he's leasing from his business. I mean, he's just killing it now.
That's awesome, man. And
Yeah,
it's like coming together as a team in a way, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Like it's not alone by himself, and more people feel a little bit more comfortable. Um, what do you think in terms of like, as you were building this business, was there a time that have you noticed that it impacted your health or well-being in a good or in a negative way, or both? And sometimes when we're building a business, it's helping us because we feel a certain way about ourselves differently, and in a different ways, like making us push so hard that we might drop a couple things of our health. How
Well,
has that been for you?
I tell you, the biggest challenge was, I remember the end of 2008. I mean, you talking about health. I mean, I had never been so stressed in my life. I remember because back then business loans were so easy to get. So that's where most of my focus was, right? Helping people get these lines of credit, and the banks were just giving them out left and right. You had to know how to, how to get it, you know, but it was just so easy to get it. And I just remember it was weird. Like one week things were like going like gangbusters. The next week I couldn't even get a return phone call. And I'm an optimistic guy, so I'm like, this will be for a few months. It's gonna take a but you know, so what I because I drink my own Kool-Aid, because I went ahead and got me my own lines of credit and that kind of stuff. I tell you, that's what sustained me for like a whole year, man. Because 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 I had those lines of credit and stuff in place. But I mean, I'm telling you, it was crazy. There were bailouts and all this kind of stuff for the big boys, but the small guys, um, I I mean, I remember 2 different phone calls. I um I had I had a personal credit card line that was at 30 grand. I'm telling you, they called me. I didn't owe anything on it, and you remind me, I had like 800 credit score. I did everything I was supposed to do. They called me and they said, "Hey, we're canceling your card." I didn't do anything wrong. It's just because of what was going on in the marketplace. They didn't want to have this, they didn't want to have this liability on the sheets. They closed down that credit card. And man, I never felt so violated. In almost a week later, I had my business credit card, which, I was charging like my lease on my the lease in my the where I lease from my building from, and I paid like my other, my cell phone, business phone, all this stuff on this credit card. That they called me as well, and they were about to close down my card for that. I had to, what I had to do? I had to. Now this is a business credit card. This is not like a business loan. You know, I had to send my tax returns to them to show them that I could still pay.
Wow.
I had just to keep my business credit card. And so so I'm like, so I know, I mean, so I'm talking about my health, man. I had never felt so sick in my life, because all this stuff was happening, stress. I don't have a lot of hair right now, but my hair is falling out, everything, man. But but I I tell you, I didn't plan it, but because I prepared, and I know, and I was able to make it out of there, you know. Uh, I mean, I wouldn't say unscathed, but man,
But you're
that was
standing,
tough. Yeah, I'm still standing, man. I'm still here.
right? You're here, man. That's amazing. And was it like were you feeling like ill, like just or like I mean
Yeah,
just
just the pit. If you have you ever had like well, when you get nervous, you get butterflies in your stomach. But
right?
like when you're stressed out, you get pains in your stomach. That's what I had. I had pains in my stomach, and I could, my face was always so hot. It's like you ever seen those cartoons where you see the guy, his head is all red and all that? That's the way I felt like, man.
Oh,
I just like it felt like my hair was about to explode.
that's
You know?
crazy, man. It's so crazy because I mean when you think about and I think that's a part of like our community as entrepreneurs, everybody who we know, and like the amount of stress that people endure, man, it's massive. Like
Yeah,
it's
man.
the amount of just go 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 because we're all that type of people. Like you knock
Yeah,
us
man.
out, we're like Rocky, man. We poof. I mean, we get up before we get down, you know.
Oh yeah. Bob
But
and
it's
weave,
like,
man. Bob and weave.
yeah. But it's like, and we don't take time sometimes to kind of think back. And it's like, okay, how is my health, man? Like,
Yeah,
how am
yeah.
I? And Ariana Huffington, she writes about this when she was walking down. She built like $100 million business. She was walking down the street in New York, and she actually passed out. She fell asleep
Oh,
while like standing
wow.
up, and
Wow.
then hit her head and got stitches in her face, and she's like, man, I'm not thriving. Like this
Right.
is not like thriving.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and so she started talking about sleep and all of this, and I'm sharing this because I'm going through that right now, man. I just go go go, and it's impacting, like it's been impacting even me as a doctor. It was impacting a lot of things that I was doing. So just so important to think about that, right? So because yeah, we can build this business and then we hurt ourselves, we hurt other people, like uh, and that's such a big part of our community. I think in our community there is a guy who got cancer, and then he speaks about that he was just like so stressed out, man.
Mm, mm.
And now now his whole business is about helping entrepreneurs have health.
Yeah, yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
because it's so crazy. Once our health goes,
That's gone, man.
it's gone, right? Like we can't do
Yeah.
anything about it, man. So it's so crazy. And so for me, it's been a journey this past week, man. It's like a lot of things have happened, and it was because I was just pushing, like just going like 24/7, man.
Well,
24/7.
you only have one body. You
Yeah,
can't, I mean, if you don't treat it right, it won't treat you right.
yeah, exactly, man.
So what do you do to kind of de-stress and that kind of stuff to kind of
Yeah, so I thought I was pretty like balanced, man. I thought, I mean, I meditate every single day, which is awesome, man. It gives me like it helps me a lot. I think I'd be probably like dead if I didn't do all this stuff right now, like from all, and then I go into the sauna every day,
okay.
and I stretch every day. I do goal setting a lot, so that helps me a lot. In terms of the family, I have a date with my wife weekly, and I
Okay.
measure it. I have a day with my daughter weekly. I take her out for dates weekly. Um, but even then, I wasn't sleeping, man.
Mm,
So I was going 24/7. It was impacting, um, and it was impacting my health and the way that I was making decisions at the hospital. And I was just not, I was just not fully at
I
night
mean, I
in the
mean,
hospital.
as a doctor, I mean, I know it's kind of changed over the years, but like, with when you're doing your training, you know, a lot of time you know, you got to do those overnight, being on call and all that kind of stuff. That just kind of messes up your sleep cycles, you know. So kind of getting out of that, so out of that cycle, how do you get it out of that cycle?
Yeah, it's so crazy because the first year I was in residency training, we didn't have the hour restrictions that we have now.
Oh
And for
yeah,
the first
yeah,
year, it was like, yeah, you're there for days, man, days,
yeah.
like 48, days straight, and then you go home and take a break for like for hours, and then you go back for other days. And then in my second year of residency, that changed, and so it was a little bit weird because it's almost like you look at the younger guys like, oh, you didn't have it as rough as we had it, but
Hmm.
so you got to get out of that mentality and know that they can show up too and they can do the job just as, if not, as good. And so now I think, I have that, like I have that ability. I can stay up and everything. And so I think all these things were helping me balance, but it was way too much, like 24 hours. I mean, it was like months, like not sleeping and just going, pushing myself. Like it's crazy, man. And so now I realize that he's like a pilot. I remember like I was trying to get my pilot's license. I haven't finished it yet to
Hmm.
fly, and one time we went up to the mat and they said, no, we can't fly. And like, I think as entrepreneurs, we hate being told no.
So no, yeah.
Like that's against our like whole like existence, dude.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
And I think I now I realized that like, man, like I was hurting myself. I was falling asleep driving. Like this was just this past couple of weeks, um and so yeah, I wasn't performing, man. I wasn't performing at the hospital at night. And so definitely that's made me realize that even if I have everything in place, even if I'm doing everything, man, I eat well, like I take care, I do fitness, I take care of myself, that sleep is a big part, that
Yeah,
rest is a
yeah.
big part. That
So does your mind, like sometimes my mind won't turn off sometimes because I keep thinking. So a lot of times I'll have to, like, you meditate, or I'll listen to some music or something before bed or something to kind of turn my mind off. That's what I try to do, and I try to work out in the morning. That helps me too.
Yeah, for sure. Me too, man. It helps me to work out every day in the morning. And then, I tell you a crazy story that you made me think of.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to live in 8 Mile in Detroit. And,
Oh yeah.
and I was working in a hospital there in a hospital there. And I was studying for my boards at the same time.
Mm.
So
Oh
a
wow.
lot of, a lot of late nights, and I was living, as a student. I didn't have money. You just kind of get through it. And I was living at this building that was a hotel turned into an apartment building. So
Mm.
you can imagine it was like crazy ghetto, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And I lived and I
Yeah.
stayed in the 10th floor. And so I get home from the hospital like 2 a.m. and it was crazy, man. Music and people in the hallways doing crazy stuff. And I go into my room and I gotta get up at 5 a.m. again, you know? So it's like, but that taught me. So I started meditating a lot there. And there is like a body scanning and then breathing. And so that taught me how to develop these skills. And yeah, I
Right.
can do it, man. I can get myself to fall asleep on demand, most of the times. And so that's come so in handy. And I'm always trying new stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of the float tanks. Have you ever heard of float tanks?
I've heard of it, but I don't know how that works. Educate me how that works.
Yeah, no. And so there is like these tanks, and they're filled up with Epsom salt, right?
Oh.
So you fall in the water, but you're floating completely.
Mm.
And then they close the thing, and so you're completely isolated from any sound. It's called a sensory deprivation. So it's
Mm.
just you and yourself.
Mm.
And I hadn't tried it before, man. And I tried it the other night, and I almost had like a panic attack. I never had
Oh.
that before, never in my life. But it was like a split second. So
Mm-hmm.
now I have a completely respect for people who are like in an MRI. They always like get panic, like claustrophobia, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
like a split second. And then all the tools that I've learned, like through the breathing, through the meditation, I do like meditation and stuff. It was nothing, but the impact of being in that little closed environment, I never felt it. So it was an interesting
Mm.
experience. But all the tools came into use. You know, I mean, I relaxed through it. I had no problem going through it. Um,
Mm.
but it was really interesting. I never experienced that. But then I had the best sleep in my life, man. It was like I felt like I was dead. I
Mm.
mean, it was amazing, man. You close these things and you're out cold, man.
Mm.
It's just
Mm.
those little 5 minutes. Your brain is a little scared from
Mm-hmm.
like trusting that you're gonna be okay floating in water, sleeping.
Mm.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? But then
Mm.
after that is like complete relaxation. So that helped a
So
lot.
what kind of dreams and thoughts would you have while you in there? Like after you overcome the claustrophobia, what kind of thoughts kind of go through your head after that?
I was out like dark, like I was out like the deepest sleep. I didn't even dream, man.
Oh,
It
so
was
you're
like,
sleeping. Okay.
yeah, sleep like deep sleep, like the
Oh,
best
okay.
sleep I've ever had because you're floating.
Is it kind of like being in an embryonic state? Is that kind of what they're trying to do?
I guess so. And then the other thing, yeah, I think so that happens. And then the other thing that happens is kind of cool, man. There is people who do it for like days at a time. And so
Mm-hmm.
what ends up happening is that there is no sensory input. They have these
Mm-hmm.
dark rooms that you can do it at. And so your body starts putting sensory input from within.
Mm.
And so what happens is that you start having releases of hormones called DMT and things like that. So people hallucinate and they see things, and it's almost like doing ayahuasca, but it's
Mm.
without taking anything
Mm.
because the body's not getting any sensations or any sensory input. So then it starts creating um, experiences,
Mm.
almost like dreams inside this sensory deprivation tank. So that's why they're popping up all over the place. But it really helps to relax. So yeah, just all
So
this.
does it is it the intention is to recharge you
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the intention is to relax, to another way to relax um, and to rest. Because I think it's so hard for us to rest nowadays,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So the intention is to rest and to take time to rest, you know.
Mhm.
So
I ain't gonna lie to you. I love my sleep, man.
do you? That's
Yeah,
awesome, man. Yeah, I
I
got
love
I
my
got to learn from you, man.
I love sleep. Um, you know, the the alarm goes off at 5:30 every morning, but sometimes I stay there till about 6, you know, just to get more sleep, just to get that real relaxed, get as much REM sleep as I can.
That's awesome, man. And then I bet, and then at night you go to sleep pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you one thing that I started doing though is I go to sleep when I'm tired because every time when I don't go to sleep, when I try to force myself to sleep, then I kind of toss and turn and all that. But I just I try to do things at night to kind of wind down, and then after winding down, then I'll just go to sleep. You know, that's kind of helps me out. I try to at least an hour and a half. I'll just start trying to wind down, and then I'll just start yawning, and then I'll just go to bed when I'm sleepy.
Well, that's great, man. That's great. And now, what's next for you? What's next with your company? What's next for for what you're doing.
So like, you know, in the marketing group that both of us are in, you know, helping me to, you know, get my customer avatar. So like the coaching program that I have, and if it's already, if I tell everybody what the website they can go to.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so all the things that I learned about, you know, building business credit and how to get it and all that kind of stuff. Right now it's a placeholder, but you can go to keysforbusiness.com. So
Keysforbusiness.com.
yeah, keysforbusiness.com. So KEYSFOR business BUSINESS.com.
Got
So
it.
you go to keysforbusiness.com, and then the tools will be there, you know, from, and you know, more so for the funding perspective of having the right profile to take advantage of stuff. We also have a program where, like, if you want to, let's say, start a business, like I'll tell you a quick story. So it was a referral from a banker, and this guy, he's an attorney, and he was trying to start this new business with a franchise. He had to spend a lot of money, you know, because he was building the building and buying equipment, that kind of stuff. So he also had to get architectural drawings. He had to also do some work on the land where he had to pay out on this. So he invested a lot of money up front to this. And then the bank told him, you know, hey, yeah, well, the banker he was working with, yeah, I got you covered. I'm gonna get you going, all that kind of stuff. And then at the last minute, because he was about to lose his money because the franchise or was like, hey, you got to start this, or we'll just have to find someone else to take advantage of this opportunity. So referred to him, I did what we call a business fund analysis. So a lot of times what I'll see is you'll submit your stuff to a bank, and then you pray that you get qualified. You have certain information, you know, if I have a good credit score, or making good money, but you know, the bank doesn't really tell you exactly what the profile you need to have before you get funding. So once he submitted all the stuff, I did my analysis, we call it business fund analysis, and I sent that to him, and I said, based on this and this, you don't qualify right now. And he was like, well, why the bank didn't tell me that up front? I'm like, I don't know. All I know is, based on the information you provided me, this is what you could qualify for, and you know, either you need to bring in another partner or whatever. You know, I gave him options, but this is where you stand right now. It's kind of like taking your car into the shop, and no one doing an assessment but saying that they're going to fix it, or going to a doctor, and they're not doing an MRI to figure out what's actually going on. And I'm like, and you know what? He ended up suing the bank because he's an attorney, right? He ended up suing the bank, and they're settling for all this money, man. But like, so so what so what we do is we'll assess where you are now, and based on where you want to go, make sure that you have the tools necessary. Because here's the other cool thing, because we are a finance company, when you invest in us, we also have the ability to give you credit. So like, before you go financing, you know, we'll create that, our relationship, and say, okay, you invest this amount of money, you pay this over time. We'll make this into a financing agreement, and then we'll get you going. So we'll help you get that profile that you need to get to where you need to go. So a lot of time, because what I see most people do, they'll just throw mud on the wall and just see if it sticks. you know, they won't take, let's prepare. Let's see what the heck is going on first. You know, let's check you out. And then if we need to course correct or we need to do this or this. But yeah, so that's, if they go to keysforbusiness.com, that's where you can find out. You know, we'll have some cool stuff that you can, free stuff you can take advantage of too. But you know, so that we can get you to the right place, so you guys won't have to bump your head.
That's awesome, man. And before, one thing that's popping up for me, because you're helping all these people, like one other thing is the amazing benefits of doing business. I think, you
Yeah.
know, from my perspective, and in terms of health and purposefulness, and how does that been for you? Because now you're talking about people coming in so that they can start their own businesses, and I feel like business is such a big catalyst for people's like expression. And
Well,
how has that been for you?
so you know this, right? Um, uh, a business, operating a business, and I'm gonna get kind of woo woo on you, right? But like spiritually,
Right.
operating a business, you know, you're serving your purpose, right? You know, this a a business a business in its expression of what your true purpose is, right? You operate your true purpose through your business. You know, like my purpose is helping people, right? That's my purpose, and I just chose from doing it from a financial funding arena. Like your purchase is, you know, health and making sure that what their goals and what they're trying to align with, what they're trying to do in life, are they taking care of their, you know, their spiritually, mentally, mind, and their body to help them get to where they need to where they need to go. And so, you know, it's kind of like it's kind of like this. You know, what all I do is like I tell this for the real estate investors I work for. You guys are mining for the gold. All I'm doing is just providing a shovel. That's all I'm doing. I'm just providing a shovel. I'm just helping you get to what you're trying to do. But you're doing the same thing in the health, in the spiritual. You helping them align their purpose and, you know, their goals, and making sure that their mind and body all align so that they can be successful in their life.
Exactly, man. And that's amazing that you're doing that, because you're showing people how to, that, you know, it's not impossible to get these lines of credits, like the roadblock that you had. Like, how do I go from building this building to a big building? I'm going to have to get more people involved and credits involved. And so that's amazing that, and then your heart is in the right place, you know, too. And
Yeah, man.
so um, it's great, man. It's great, and it's great to know you, and looking forward to checking up with you and everything that you do, and seeing how
Same
everything
here.
goes, man.
Same here, man. Hey, man, I'm feel fortunate, man. You asked me to come on, man.
Oh, thank you, man, and I appreciate it, because I'm sure a lot of people get benefit from listening to this, knowing that there are options, you know, both in if they're going through a hardship or if they're going to a roadblock like you did. And that, you know, if you're feeling that stress that you felt, like, it's not forever, and you just gotta reach out and get help, or like kind of take your own journey as an example, that like you can get through it, you know, and
Yeah,
find the things that you really love to do.
yeah. And Andres, man, he's a good guy, man. For all you listeners, you know, he's spirit led, man. You gotta hook up with
Right on, brother. And Keys, I have it right up here, man. Keys, yeah. Bit, oh, why did it? I have it. I had your website. Can you repeat your website again?
All right, so, and I'm gonna put it in the chat. Keysforbusiness.com
Got it.
here.
Keysforbusiness.com. Keysforbusiness.com. Beautiful. Awesome, man. Well, Dominic, It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Hey man, I like again, man, I appreciate you checking me out and opportunity to come on, man. And hey, appreciate you, man.
Same here, brother. Have a good one.
All right, take care.
Okay, take care.